get 30 seconds with everybody. It's like, how have you been? Over 10 years. Let's catch up in 30 seconds. Well, I see my roommates, I see you guys, it means so much. But let me say, whatever my brother said, don't believe it. I was taking pictures, I wasn't paying attention, there's no telling. Do you know there's a press pool reporter here? Anyway. But I am beyond thrilled to be with all of you today. I mean, being back in Princeton, at Princeton, unfortunately, I haven't gotten a chance to get back on campus, but I'm going to make that happen. But it is really, really great to be here. And I want to thank Carol for that really sweet introduction, and Carol and Andy and their family for allowing us to literally destroy their home. The first thing I said when I walked in the door was, sorry. I mean, we've got reporters in the garage, and we moved their furniture, and, we've got stuff in the attic. I mean, we really messed them up, but they've been just so gracious. So let's give them a big round of applause. I want to recognize a couple of people. We've got Congressman Holt, who is here, and I want to thank him for being here. Thank you for joining us. And of course, I want to thank the host committee for working so hard, and in particular, my dear friend Crystal for her words earlier, and thank you to her and to John for serving as such wonderful co-chairs for this event. You guys have done a phenomenal job. Thank you so much. And of course, to my big brother, Craig, even though he probably embarrassed me, let me tell you something. Craig worked harder than both me and Barack during the convention. Truly. He got up at 7:30, he had interviews. By the time I looked over his schedule, I was like, Dad. So he is, thank you, sweetie. I love my big brother, and I'm just so happy this makes this trip even more special. I love you, Craig. And most of all, I want to thank all of you for joining us today. I always forget what day of the week is because things blur together, but it is a Sunday afternoon on a beautiful day, and you guys are here in a hot tent to come see me. So I want to thank you. And it seems like you guys are fired up and ready to go. And that is very good, because I am certainly fired up and ready to go after our convention a couple of weeks ago. It was a great convention. Great. In Charlotte, we got to hear from so many terrific speakers, people like President Clinton, Vice President Biden, and they reminded us of a few things. They reminded us how much we've accomplished together. They reminded us how much is at stake in this election, and most importantly, they reminded us why we need to re-elect my husband for 4 more years. Yes. And my job, I think, was pretty simple. I had the easy job. People say, you gave a great speech, but I had good material. I had the pleasure and the honor of talking about the man I have loved and admired for 23 years. And why I decided to marry him. That's easy. You could do all that all day. But when I first met Barack, even though my brother said, they were worried that he'd be gone in a couple of months or something like that, that wasn't true. I knew he was different. He had everything going for him. He was handsome, still is. He was charming and talented and extremely smart. But as I tell young people, especially the young women, listen to this, that's not why I married him. What truly made me fall in love with Barack was his character. It was his decency, his honesty, his compassion, his conviction. I love that Barack was so committed to serving others that he turned down high-paying jobs and instead started his career working to get folks back to work in struggling communities. That meant a lot to me. And I absolutely, and I loved that Barack was so devoted to his family, especially the women in his life. I saw the respect he had for his mother. I saw how proud he was that she put herself through school while supporting him and his sister as a single mom. I saw the tenderness he felt for his grandmother. I saw how grateful he was that long after she should have retired, she was still waking up every morning and catching that bus to her job at the community bank to help support his family. And he watched as she was passed over for promotions, even though she was a woman. But he also saw how she kept on getting up, doing that same job year after year without complaint or regret. And with Barack, I found a real connection because in his life story, I saw so much of my own. Growing up on the south side of Chicago, I watched my own father make that same uncomplaining journey to his job every day at the city water plant. And I saw how he carried himself with that same dignity, that same pride in being able to provide for your family, that same hope that his kids would one day have opportunities he never dreamed of. And like so many people in this country, our families just weren't asking for much. They didn't begrudge anyone else's success, not at all. They didn't mind if others had much more than they did. In fact, they admired it. That's why they pushed us. They simply believed in that fundamental American promise that even if you don't start out with much, if you work hard and you do what you're supposed to do, then you should be able to build a decent life for yourself and an even better life for your kids and your grandkids. And they also believed, as I said in Charlotte, that when you've worked hard and done well and walked through that doorway of opportunity, you don't slam it shut behind you. You reach back and you give other folks the same chances that helped you succeed. And that's how Barack and I and so many of you were raised. Those are the values that we were taught. We learned that how hard you work matters more than how much you make. We learned that the truth matters, so you don't take shortcuts, you don't game the system, you don't play by your own set of rules. We learned that no one gets where they are on their own, that each of us has a community of people lifting us up. From the teachers who inspire us to the janitors who keep our schools clean. And we learn to value everyone's contribution. We learn to treat everyone with respect.